Hello, my name is Sarah, and I'm 43 years old. For many years, I've neglected my health. Not working out enough and eating without concern for whether or not what I was eating was healthy for me. I used to be quite fit, actually, and I played a lot of sports. But over the years, I began to just let myself go. Where I once had a thin, muscular build, I now have rolls, and doing even the simplest task makes me feel out of breath. Sadly, I know that I have become obese. If that wasn't bad enough, my husband and son left me because they grew tired of being around me. My husband told me that he no longer was attracted to me. For a while before he left, I knew that something was wrong. He just didn't treat me like he used to. We stopped going on weekly dates, and he began to make comments on what I was eating. I thought that maybe if I took on the role of planning dates for us to go on, that it would help. I tried to pick exciting locations that would interest him. And I started to do the chores that he typically only ever did. Thinking that maybe the reason that he was so unhappy was because he was under too much stress from work, and that if I made his life at home easier, then he would appreciate that and be happier. But none of that helped. I began to notice that my son began to pick up on my husband's behavior, and he too began to make comments on my weight and appearance. At the time, I assumed that there was something wrong with me since both of them were saying the same things. But I later found out that my husband had been confiding in our son and slowly turning him against me. It honestly hurt so much to not only have my husband saying hurtful things to me, but now for our only son to do so as well was too much for me to take. I remember one day I was out driving around when I got a phone call from my son.
Hey Mom, what's going on with you?
This was the first time that we had spoken in a few weeks that didn't involve him being mean to me, so I made the foolish decision to engage in conversation with him. Hey Michael, I'm okay. Just out running some errands.
That's not what I meant. What are you going to do about Dad's new girlfriend? Do you not feel ashamed that he is just out there cheating on you? Why aren't you divorcing him?
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this latest one is actually pretty nice. I've met her a few times and she's really good looking too. Unlike you, she isn't obese.
I couldn't believe what he was saying to me. My own son was insulting me and telling me earth-shattering news in such a callous and malicious way.
Honestly, I'm hoping that Dad will divorce you and marry her instead. She's a much better person than you. She even plays basketball with me.
How can you speak to me like this? Do you have no respect at all for your mother?
Why would I? Dad's girlfriend is younger, smarter, and way better looking than you.
But why hasn't your father said anything to me? Why are you telling me these terrible things?
Because I want you to divorce Dad so that he can pursue a happy life with her. If you do it now, then maybe you can spare him any additional hassle. It's not like you have anything to actually offer him anymore. And before you even ask, I have no intention of living with you, so don't even think about trying to get joint custody.
I'm your mother. How can you be so cruel to me?
Cruel? Are you serious? How could you be so cruel and not keep up your appearance? Do you not know how embarrassing it is to have a mother as fat as you? Do you not know that I have to lie to all of my online followers and friends about you so that I won't get embarrassed? At least with Dad's new girlfriend, I can finally take family photos together and post them to social media. I won't lie, she's gorgeous, and I've gained lots of new followers thanks to posting pictures of her in a bikini.
I had suspected for some time that my husband had been cheating on me, but to have it confirmed like this was far too cruel. For my own son to speak to me in such a mean way hurt more than anything I had ever felt before. As painful as it was, I knew that I needed to get to work to set myself up so that once the divorce proceedings began that I could protect myself and my future. I knew that any kind of reconciliation with my husband, and unfortunately my son, wasn't going to happen without a miracle occurring, and I resigned myself to a future without them. I set about contacting the credit card companies we had cards with, as well as our financial advisor. I wanted to gather as much evidence for my husband's cheating as possible. I knew that if I could prove his infidelity, that I would have a strong case to get compensation, and so I printed out as much information as I could gather. And then set up an appointment with a friend of mine who was a lawyer. However, when I went to his office, the folder that I had placed all the paperwork in was empty, except for a picture of my son. In it, he was pointing at me and laughing. Instantly, I knew that he had destroyed the paperwork I had gathered. I can't believe this, but my own son destroyed the evidence I had gathered. But I have no doubt that I can find it all again if I contact our financial advisor and credit card companies.
Are you serious? Your own son would do that to you? It sounds like he has completely sided with your husband.
About a month later, my husband and I got divorced. We both agreed to let our lawyers do all the negotiations, which was fine by me. I had made arrangements with mine to go after any money that he could, and with the evidence of my ex-husband's infidelity. He was able to file for a great deal of compensation. The day after the paperwork was to be delivered to my ex-husband, I received a text from my son. He was angry that I was going after his father for compensation. I knew that he wouldn't see reason, and so I replied that I was within my rights to receive that money since his father had cheated on me. He of course disagreed and was surprised that although he had destroyed my paperwork, that I had backup copies. In the end, my lawyer did get me over $45,000 in compensation, but I ended up having to pay $35,000 in child support since my son chose to stay with my ex-husband. That part really hurt, but there wasn't anything that I could do about it. After all the paperwork was wrapped up, I ended up selling my house as it was far too expensive for me to live there by myself. And I found a small basement apartment where I could stay until I figured out what I wanted to do as far as living arrangements were concerned. The first months were very lonely, and I found it hard to eat on a regular basis. Every time I tried to eat, I found myself feeling sick from all the worry and stress. Slowly, though, I noticed that this was causing me to lose weight. At first, this alarmed me, but then I figured that maybe I should take this as a sign, and I chose to change my diet entirely and to start going to the gym. Between the much healthier foods and all the working out that I began doing, I started to feel healthier and happier as well. I kept setting goals to achieve, like being able to run for 30 minutes straight on the treadmill, and after I did that, I set longer and longer goals, and every time I surpassed them, I felt proud of myself, which made me want to keep going. A few years passed, and I was in the best shape of my life, when I suddenly got a call from my son.
Mom, you have to help me. My new mother has turned into a nightmare of a woman.
What are you talking about? I thought she was perfect.
No, she drinks too much every day and has gotten Dad to do the same. They're never sober and neither of them even has a job anymore because of it. To make matters worse, they've both gained so much weight from drinking and poor eating. Neither of them ever cooks and we just constantly eat fast food.
It hurt me to hear that my son was in such a situation, and so I promised him that I would look into things. The next day, I contacted my lawyer and made arrangements to file for sole custody of my son, as well as child support. I knew that it was a long shot, but not long after I did, the court sent out an officer to check on my son's living conditions, and when they saw how bad they were, they charged my ex-husband and his new wife with child neglect and endangerment. The charge carried with it a 3-year prison sentence, which made it so that he lost custody of our son. Being sent to prison, he was, of course, unable to pay child support, but that was okay. My son would at least be safe with me. It took a while and a lot of therapy, but my son and I managed to repair our relationship and have grown closer as a result. There isn't a day that passes that he doesn't apologize for his part in what happened. And while it was hard for me to do, I have forgiven him. And I am very grateful that we have a stronger relationship today. It's unfortunate that we had to go through so much pain to get where we are, but knowing how much work he has done to become a better person makes me so proud of him. Thanks for watching, please. Like the video for the algorithm.